Hello and welcome to the Weekly Outlook at XM.com. Next week, the U.S. nonfarm payrolls report will be the highlight, as all eyes are on the size of the Fed's next rate hike, as well as inflation data in the Euro area and the OPEC Plus decision. I'm Maria Pashvardis, and joining me to discuss all this is lead investment analyst Rafi Boyatian. So Rafi, last month's nonfarm payrolls report was unexpectedly hot. What are we expecting this month? And do you think the data is likely to change anything for the U.S. dollar?
Well, that is right, Maria. We did get a very hot jobs report last time. It was a lot stronger than expected. We are expecting a bit of a moderation for the month of August. NFP is expected to give us a print of 290,000 jobs compared to 528,000 jobs last time. But it's questionable how much of an impact this jobs report will have on the Fed decision. Of course, they meet in mid-September. Because even if we get a slight miss or a slightly stronger one, as far as the Fed is concerned, the labor market is very hot. So I think there would have to be a very big miss or a very big beat to change how the Fed views the labor market right now in the United States. Of course, the other numbers like the wage growth and the jobless rate, those will be important too. But I think we know pretty much that despite some signs of a slowdown in hiring, the labor market is still pretty much in good shape in America right now. And of course, when you got a tight labor market, even a small increase in jobs, that still means that the labor market is getting even tighter. So as far as the Fed is concerned, they don't have anything to worry about the jobs market. And I think the big priority for policymakers is, of course, is going to be on the next CPI report. And as far as the dollar is concerned, I think investors will probably paying, I'm sure we're going to get some knee-jerk reaction, especially if there are a few surprises overall. Though I think what Fed policymakers say in the coming days and, of course, in the run-up to the next CPI report, which is, of course, on the same day as the Fed starts its next two-day policy meeting, those will matter more. The main thing for the dollar right now is what happens to those recession fears globally, because it's those fears that are actually keeping the dollar supported right now, even when, say, we get some slight misses in US data.
Moving over to Europe now, the energy crisis just keeps getting worse. And inflation hit a record high of 8.9% year-on-year in July. On Wednesday, we'll get flash estimates for August. Should we expect a higher number? And how might the euro be affected?
Well, I think the forecasts certainly are predicting a slightly higher number. So consensus estimates is for inflation to rise by 9% in August flash reading. But it's possible we could get a slightly weaker number like we did in the United States because of the drop we're seeing in petrol prices right now on the back of the pullback in oil prices. So even though it's possible that we might see the price pressures ease a little bit in the short run, so maybe we might see a miss potentially in August and maybe next month. But after that, I think we're going to see further increases in inflation in the euro area because of those increases in gas prices. The European gas futures hit a record high in the past week. They keep surging because of concerns about supply from Russia. Of course, the drought across Europe has made things worse because it's increased reliance on gas because of difficulty in transporting some other types of fuel via the major rivers in Europe. And on top of that, of course, we've got an unscheduled maintenance coming up at the end of August for the Nord Stream pipeline. And that, of course, every time that happens, it raises fresh uncertainty. Will Russia turn the taps back on once the maintenance is completed? Will they come up with some kind of an excuse to further reduce reduce gas flows through the pipeline. So all of that is making investors nervous, and that's why the euro remains under pressure. It has fallen below parity. So I doubt anything as far as the data is concerned will do anything to help the euro to get back above parity. I think the focus will be on what happens to the maintenance of the pipeline and whether or not gas flows will resume once the maintenance is completed.
Right. Turning to OPEC now, members of the alliance are not happy about the recent fall in oil prices. Do you think an output cut is on the horizon?
Well, they seem to be talking about it. At least that's the impression they're giving us. And it's quite a turnaround. Only at the last meeting, they were discussing raising output, and now they may potentially discuss cutting output. But even if the discussion does head towards that way, it's doubtful whether they're going to reach a decision very quickly. I think that this is more of a warning shot for the markets that the drop in oil prices that we've seen over the last few weeks has gone a bit too far, because it doesn't reflect fundamentals. So the lower oil prices, it's all on the back of fears about recession, which have been exacerbated by the slowdown in China and the worrying signs of economic growth in Europe. So even though the outlook is gloomy, the oil supply remains extremely tight. Many OPEC members are having a hard time meeting their quotas for production. They all seem to have some kind of difficulty in terms of various technical issues or problems with infrastructure, with investment and so on. So the supply is tight. So the OPEC is worried that the current market price doesn't reflect the true picture. So it's going to be important to see, what they're actually going to discuss, if they will actually go ahead and, consider cutting output at this meeting, or it's just going to be sort of maybe setting the conditions that would get them to start discussing it. For example, if Iran were to reach a nuclear deal with the West. But either way, I think we're likely to see quite some volatility for oil prices and potentially for oil-linked currencies such as the Canadian dollar.
Rafi, thanks so much. And thanks for joining us at xm.com for this weekly outlook.